video, I'm getting to do my labour and delivery story. I had actually filmed this before, but for some reason the file got corrupt, so I've now got a chance to refilm it. If you're on my Facebook, you would have known that my labour was a very quick one. It actually was about an hour and 15 minutes all up. That was from the time labour was established to the moment Claire was born. I'm going to just get in and get started and let you know what happened. So I went into the hospital on Tuesday, the 16th of June, and that was to start the induction, which was the gel. And I think they put 2 milligrams in, whereas I think with Ellie I had 1. This time my obstetrician had requested for 2 milligrams. So I went in to the maternity ward. They didn't put me in the birthing suite as this was the start of an induction, so I wasn't actually in labour. So they put me in the maternity ward at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The midwife came in and she put the gel in, and that felt fine. I had to, they monitored me with the CTG machine, and I had to lay down for at least, I think, 20 minutes while after the gel had been inserted, just so it doesn't come out and it has, I guess, a fuller effect. This time my husband was with me, and then I'm pretty sure my mum was either there for the time of the gel or she came just not long after. And you know, we were kind of warned, you know, it'll be an overnight thing, but you know, you'll have your baby by the next day, but basically, you know, this is just to help ripen your cervix and whatnot, because I went into hospital basically being, I think, just a 1 centimetre dilated, so my cervix wasn't ripened or anything like that, so they weren't expecting anything to happen until the next day. Either was my doctor. He said to me, you know, you'll have your baby on the Wednesday. So my husband and mum stayed with me for about an hour or so, and I remember about 6:45 remember mentioning that, you know, I start to feel a bit of pressure, not quite cramp feeling period like pains, but more pressure. And I said, look, I don't know, it could be coincidence, or it could be actually the gel starting to work. At this point though, I wasn't really having any contractions as such, so labour wasn't established yet, of course, but things were definitely starting to happen. So by 7 o'clock my mum and husband went home. Where we live is about 40 minutes from the hospital. My mum lives about 20 minutes from the hospital, so they're a bit closer. But so yeah, my husband went back home where Ellie was with her grandparents. So he went back thinking, you know, yeah, I'll see you basically kind of the next day unless something happens during the night. So they had me on the CTG. I had a tiny break from it, and then they put me back onto it. And I remember saying to the midwife, you know, I'm starting to actually pick up some contractions here. I remember on the machine it was going from basically 40 to 70 quite rapidly, and I knew something was happening. I thought, you know, if these aren't contractions, then okay, ouch. I'm in for a long road here, because midwife just thought, oh yeah, you know, it's just your cervix ripening, it's, you know, your body's preparing, but basically you're not in labour. I was thinking, well, I think I am, because these contractions are really strong, to the point where then I actually wanted to have some medication. Because I wasn't on the birthing suite, I couldn't have the epidural that we've had lined up with the anaesthetist, which he was actually on the way to the hospital just to pop in and see me. So I couldn't have an epidural. They didn't offer gas, which I wouldn't have taken anyway, because I wasn't on the birthing suite. So they said, look, you can either have Panadol, which is paracetamol, and that it was past the point of taking Panadol. You know, Panadol doesn't really do too much, especially when you're in labour. So they then said, well, and I can't have codeine either. So they actually offered me an endone, which I was quite surprised that they even offered endone in labour. I had no idea, but I was in the state of just like, I need something, because if I'm going to, for me to, you know, go through this, I need to have some sort of pain relief. So the doctor came back and he gave me the endone, said, you know, it could take about 20 minutes or so to kick in. I thought, yeah, that's fine, I can handle that. I was coping with the contractions fairly well, just trying to focus on my breathing. Then I remember I had to then go to the bathroom, and which nothing hurt, everything was fine, did what I had to do. And as I stood up, just blood basically gushed. And then I just noticed a whole lot of blood, which alarm bells started going off in my head, thinking, you know, if this is meant to be my show, this is nothing like what it was with Ellie, and what they describe your show, what it's meant to be, like your mucus plug coming away. It was nothing like this. It was actually like a very heavy period. It was quite scary, so I alarmed for the midwives. They came in. Without the midwives even coming into the bathroom in my room, their faces just dropped and was just like, okay, wow. I know that they were probably quite concerned. We did find out later on that they were actually concerned that my placenta was starting to bleed. So that hence why they looked quite concerned there. But so they got me onto the bed, and things just progressed very, very fast. I did get hooked up to the CTG. They were quite concerned for Claire. I think more with the movements. She wasn't really moving that much. I know when you're in full-on labour, babies can slow down as they're moving, they're moving down. But baby was still quite high, so they were quite concerned for her. So when they saw the blood, definitely I think then they were going to take me a little bit seriously and think, okay, yeah, she's definitely in labour here. So at the time of the bleed, I know my husband was on his way back to the hospital. So before the bleed happened, I did tell him, you better come back down because things are progressing. So he'd only just got home, and then I said, yeah, you're gonna have to get back in the car to come back down. So while the bleed was happening and I was getting monitored again, he was coming back on his way down. As soon as he got there, I remember things were going very, very quick. So I think about 8 o'clock, 8 p.m, labour was established at this point. I'm fairly a quiet labourer, I guess. I kind of just deal with the pain internally. I normally don't voice my pain, but I actually voiced myself with yelling out for help, which in my previous labours I've not had to do. So this was telling me something, and I know my husband, he's been with me through my labours, and so he just said to me, well, you better call the nurses back in. So I did, and as soon as we buzzed, then my waters broke. I felt this intense amount of pressure, and it honestly felt like Claire's head just dropped and then the waters broke. That's what it felt like, and it may have been her head. Her head was a little bit sitting up high previously, so it very well could have been, I guess, her head dropping, and then waters broke. From then, things got very, very even more intense. So as soon as then the midwives came back in, we said, look, waters have broken. From then, I just needed to push. I had the pressure and the feeling of needing to push. So they then called in, there was about, I remember seeing about 10 different people in the room. So they had to get me to the birthing suite as soon as possible. So I remember seeing, again, I think it might have been the obstetrician of the hospital there. So my obstetrician wasn't even there yet. So at this point, he may have been getting called, I'm not sure. when they would have called him, but so yeah, they were, I think, explaining to me what's happening. I don't really remember. I do remember them wheeling me out of the room, and then they needed to get me onto then another bed. So I eventually got onto the other bed after in between contractions, and still there was about a fair whack of people in there. I do remember that there were people to the left, to the right, to the front. And then I remember having the male doctor that gave me the endone, he put a cannula where my, I guess, elbow is, up here. So he was trying to do that when I was having contractions and trying to push as well. Something happened there. They needed to take it out and then put it in the side of my wrist here. I was left with a crazy bruise on my, where they tried to do the first cannula. If I can, I'll insert some pictures as well during the video, as we couldn't film it. So yeah, so they were doing that. I was pushing. I pushed this child out so quickly. As soon as I felt her head, I was like, wow, okay, this child is coming out now. I'm not having this burning feeling. So I pushed her out, and she was out in, I think, within a minute or two. It was so quick. So I'll just quickly go over the times. So labour was established at 8 o'clock. Then by about 9:22, stage 2 labour was established. 9:25, so 3 minutes later, Claire was born. So because I pushed her out quite fast, Claire did come out a little bit blue and a little bit stunned as well. She did cry when she came out, but it wasn't very long, and they just had to obviously make sure she was okay, breathing steadily. We got her under control. She had a little bit of trouble keeping temperature, so we just had to keep her as warm as possible. Really, ideally, I wanted to actually film the process of all of it, but because it just happened too quick for me or for anyone to kind of grab the camera, unfortunately we couldn't. So yeah, I will try and add some photos if my camera allows me. And unfortunately my doctor did not make the birth. He did turn up, but unfortunately it was too late, so I'm really bummed about that, as you know, that's why I went to see an obstetrician. But look, the care that we got during the pregnancy was outstanding. I wouldn't have changed a thing. Yeah, just really kind of unfortunate that he did not make the birth, but you know, he still made it, and he still checked up on me a couple of days while I was in hospital. So, you know, hypothetically, if there ever is another time, and if I'm to be induced, which I probably would, considering our history with our babies, I would need to be at the hospital and not leave, which I didn't leave this time, but it was quite scary. Quite, you know, knowing that how quick everything went along. But you know, it was good. It was really good to experience, I guess, a fairly natural labour. Besides, you know, I did get the gel, but then my body, I felt my body did the rest. My waters broke on their own, which was really good, which hasn't happened before, so that was nice. I pushed this baby out with, yes, I had an endone, but for me it did not even kick in. I think my body was just too far established, and but I think maybe the endone may have affected Claire, so not sure. I mean, the doctors never said anything, but yeah, so I felt everything, and I just grazed. I didn't tear, which I was very lucky with Ellie. I just needed only 2 stitches, so I came away very lucky this time. But you know, it was such an awesome experience and feeling just to go through that. And then once Claire was out, that was it. I had to push the placenta out a little bit as well, but you know, that's fine. The midwife did say though that my placenta didn't look very good. It actually was starting to come away, so that was another scary thing. So I'm glad I delivered when I did. So I was 39 weeks and 5 days when I was induced and delivered. So yeah, that was fairly scary to know that my placenta was starting to come away and it didn't look good. So yeah, you know, I'm not sure whether that was picked up in previous scans, I'm not sure, but yeah, so that was, I guess, something else. That was it. Leave me any questions that you may have if I haven't answered anything. If you're wanting to know anything more in depth, let me know. I will have my 6-week checkup with my obstetrician in a couple of weeks' time, so I might do an update on that, on what the plan is or what we discussed, etc. But what I might do, I might actually show you my belly for 4 weeks. I forgot to do it in my postpartum video, so what my tummy is like at 4 weeks postpartum. So here is, I guess, my tummy. I won't show you with my top up, but this is yeah, for 4 weeks postpartum, and still got a little belly there, but yeah, that's it. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!